So what I did is I went and found the closest thing to a coach's hat that I had inside of my closet, because this is going to be the type of episode we're breaking down what is happening with the Denver Nuggets team. Offensively, they've been a juggernaut. They've been elite. We're going to talk about the last 8 games in particular and why this team seemingly has fallen off a cliff when it comes to how it is executing as a defensive team. We're also going to talk about the injuries that are obviously affecting where the team is right now, how they can get back on track, how they can move forward and be better from this point in time and on. But also, Nikola Jokic is having a phenomenal year, but now the ask of him is going to be even greater. We got to get into it, y'all. This is Swiper, and this is Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Nuggets. This is your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. This is your man, Swiper. So glad to be here with you today. Hope you're having a great day. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I was back in Denver enjoying time with the family and the friends, y'all. So I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Hope you got a chance to be around your people and you get to feel love this holiday season, y'all. There's a lot going on, especially in the month of December. So I hope that you are taking care of yourself as we get ready to talk about these Denver Nuggets. Y'all, today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. All right, y'all, let's get straight to it. This Denver Nuggets team has not been playing any defense over the last 8 games, and it is about high time we talk about it. It is about high time we correct it. The Denver Nuggets offense over the last 8 games, 125.7 offensive rating, which is stupendous, which is magnanimous, which is amazing. Best in the NBA. The defense, on the other hand, 123.2, the second worst defense in the NBA over the last 8 games. Just a plus 2.4 net rating. That is a far cry from how they started this season off. A far cry from the effort they showed to start the year off when they were 10-2. And then they played versus the Chicago Bulls and lost. They played versus the Sacramento Kings and lost. Played versus the San Antonio Spurs with no Victor Wembanyama and lost. They played yesterday versus the Dallas Mavericks with Anthony Davis and with the team that's not been good offensively all year and lost. The Denver Nuggets have not been able to truly hone in on a defensive identity for the last 2 weeks, and this matters. The Nuggets are still third in net rating in the NBA. They have slipped precipitously from where they were as a plus 12. They're a plus 8.8. They are still looking like a good team. But if you want to talk about how far things have fallen from Denver, do you know that the Dallas Mavericks going into today had the worst offensive rating in the NBA, the very worst offensive rating in the NBA. They were the worst offense going into the game. They remain the worst offense in the NBA. On the season, they're at a 107 net rating offensively. That is horrible. On the season, the Denver Nuggets are 123.7, which is the best in the NBA. And then if you look at last night's game, looking at cleaning the glass, the Denver Nuggets allowed the worst offense in the NBA to have a 127.5 offensive rating yesterday in the game, a 64.2 effective field goal percentage. Now, where does that rank for the Dallas Mavericks on the year? Do you know that the Dallas Mavericks this season have a 51.4 effective field goal percentage? So they walked into Denver in a game that the Nuggets had already lost 3 straight, and they allowed this team that, again, has a 51.4 effective field goal percentage. Yesterday, they allowed the worst offense in the NBA with one of the worst effective field goal percentages in the NBA to shoot 64.2% effective field goal percentage. That is the effort that they showed. That is the energy that they had when playing through that game yesterday. They allowed for the Dallas Mavericks to have their way, especially from the second quarter on. In the first quarter, it was 41-27. The Denver Nuggets looked like they were taking hold of the game. It looked like this is going to be a game we're going to get a get back. We're going to get a bounce back. But no, Lo behold, they did not. Yesterday, do you know the Nuggets shot 23 of 37 at the rim yesterday? That's really good. But the thing that they didn't do yesterday, they allowed the Mavericks to shoot 18 of 27, which is whatever. That's not even super crazy relative to the league. But if you look at the mid-range, they allowed Dallas to hit 19 of 37 shots from mid-range yesterday. The pick-and-roll defense was horrible. Jokic was too far back. They're getting caught back up on screen from the three-point line yesterday. Do you realize that the Dallas Mavericks shot 29 threes yesterday? They made 16 of them. As I said on my show last night, they allowed the Dallas Mavericks to shoot 51% from three. And also, here's the other thing. They allowed the Dallas Mavericks last night, who on the season again had a 107.0 offensive rating. They allowed them to have a 116.5 offensive rating in the half court with Ryan Nembhard, with D'Angelo Russell, with Anthony Davis, with Cooper Flagg. Now, the Nuggets on the other end had a 108.9 half court offensive rating, which is elite, which is insane. The problem is they are allowing four other teams to eat at will. In transition yesterday, the Dallas Mavericks had a 170 offensive rating in transition. They had a 150 offensive rating off steals yesterday in transition. They had a 175.0 offensive rating off of live rebounds. Now, what is a live rebound? When the Denver Nuggets shoot the ball, they allow the other team to run out. They allowed, off of missed shots, a 175 offensive rating in transition yesterday. And what about Ryan Nembhard? I'm glad that you asked. Ryan Nembhard, 28 points, 10 assists, 12 of 14 from the field, 4 or 5 from 3. That's what they allowed for him to do last night. 35.5 assist percentage last night. That is not quite what Jokic is doing this year, but a 35.5% assist rating, that would be a great distribution season for any player in the league. So just go through it. Go up and down. Watching this game, watching the energy, watching the connectivity, this was a game where they were completely detached. And this doesn't just start with the players. This also goes back to David Adelman and Jared Dudley. Now, again, they started the year off phenomenal. They started the year off great. They were locked in. They were keyed in. They were doing their job. Now, remember, y'all, the way the Nuggets are structured, they don't have, like, elite defensive personnel, but they got good enough personnel. You know, Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon, Peyton Watson, Spencer Jones, Cam Johnson, Zeke Naji, that's enough. And so what they do is they mix and match the coverages that they're showing you because they want to confuse you and get you out of rhythm. But then what happens is when they lock in on man defense, they start playing at the level, they start trapping at the level, they move so fast behind Jokic, and Jokic moves so much across the court that the defense doesn't get a good look. And so the Nuggets, to start the season off when they went 10-2, move, communication. They were everywhere. They were anywhere. But the last 8 games, y'all, that you've watched for this Denver Nuggets team, they have been hapless. And what do you know? Do y'all realize, per synergy, I'm looking at points per possession allowed defensively. When they played versus the Houston Rockets 2 Fridays ago, they only allowed them to have 0.897 points per possession made. That is phenomenal. Phenomenal. In that game, in the half court, they held the Houston Rockets, who at the time were the #1 offense in the NBA, to 0.79 points per possession in the half court. That is phenomenal. Their man defense in that game held them to 0.94 points per possession in man defense that game 2 weeks ago. The #1 offense in the league. That is phenomenal. So what it tells me is that when they need to do it, they did it. They did it versus the Clippers. They held the Clippers in man-to-man defense. They played really well in that game. They did really well. They closed out. They held them to lower possessions, 1.084 points per possession, versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, fully healthy, mind you, 1.019 points per possession. Really good. Yesterday, versus the Dallas Mavericks, 1.194 in the half court, 1.14 in the half court. Man-to-man defense, 1.12. Zone defense, 3.00. When they played zone defense yesterday, the effort was abysmal. The communication was abysmal. This is just the way it is. The team has to play better. The communication has to be better. The urgency has to be better. You have to want to play defense. You have to want to commit to doing the right thing every single possession, and right now they're not. We're going to talk about this on the other side because I think a lot of this stems from Adelman. Because if you look at the plays on Synergy and you look at the way they're executing their schemes, they are missing their marks so often on this 4-4 losing win streak that they've been on. And we got to talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. Now, y'all, NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Now, live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. You get player props, updates as guides heat up, and you can bet the next touchdown scores, drive result totals, and more. It keeps you locked in to every step, every drive, and every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. We'll be back for segment 2 here at Locked On Nuggets. This is Swipe, and we're back here for segment 2 of Locked On Nuggets. Hope you're having a phenomenal day. I hope you're having a great week so far. Y'all, make sure if you're listening to this on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify, give us a 5-star review. That way more and more people can listen to the great content being made here at Locked On Nuggets. If you're watching this on YouTube and you feel the coaching energy from Matt Moore, from Ryan Blackburn, and from Swiper, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the video. We're on the way to 15,000 subscribers here on this channel. It is real simple, you all. The reason why you're feeling the energy emanate through your screen is because when you look at these games they are playing, the defense, the communication, and everything in between has not been where it needs to be. It is that simple. They are just quite simply not doing the things that they had done to start the year off. And that is affecting the overall flow of the team. It is affecting just how good they are right now. So that's the thing that really is struggling. Like, if you look at players like Ryan Nembhard last night, like, it didn't matter what he was doing. He was getting free eats versus this Nuggets team yesterday. It's just not acceptable. The energy level is not acceptable. The communication is not acceptable. I'm watching him play right now in the first quarter. Now, he starts getting deep into the paint in the first quarter. Jokic contested fairly well. It's a miss. But at some point in time, when they were guarding Ryan, they started straggling behind the pick and rolls like crazy. And then eventually he started heating up in the mid-range. And then when you look in the second quarter, it just became a free guide to the basket. Jokic is playing super deep on Anthony Davis to not give up the lob because they're running kind of they're running a Spain pick and roll. In a Spain pick and roll in this instance, or rather you can call it a double drag here. In a double drag scenario, Cooper Flag comes and sets the screen for Jamal Murray, and then you have Anthony Davis who sets a little bit of a screen himself for the next man with Jamal. So now it's kind of an easy roll. Cooper Flag leaks out to the three-point line. Anthony Davis sinks all the way to the middle. So Jokic, he has to go guard Anthony Davis because they can't sink too far off the corner. So Jokic is in the paint, but now Nembhard has a wide-open 10-foot jumper, and he nails it. And then in the third quarter, up 82-79. Looking at another possession, they again run the pick and roll. But Anthony Davis had made a three at this point, I believe. He pops out to the three-point line. Jokic is playing extremely deep inside the paint. Extreme drop. Peyton Watson gets caught on the screen. Ryan Nembhard, easy pull-up, bucket. So it's just like, like the physicality, the effort, the energy, it just started to dissipate. And the next thing you know, Ryan Nembhard's making deep 28-foot threes. So you just look at the control and pace of the game. It's like, what are we doing? So then the next possession, 88-88, Jokic is playing a deep drop. Peyton Watson gets hung up on another screen. Jokic slow plays it. He sees the defender trying to get deeper, get behind him for a lob, but Jokic gets beat in the space, gets beat to the rim. Ryan Nembhard, layup. So again, another possession, Ryan Nembhard. They pick and roll. Spencer Jones tries to ice it. But now, at this point, Nembhard's in the bag. He does a pull-up shot over Spencer Jones, 126-117. What I'm telling you is when you watch these games and you look at the possessions, the Nuggets defense is completely discombobulated. Now, what you will also see when you look at these clips is the Nuggets do not seem to know where they are supposed to be and where they're supposed to be finishing possessions. It's that simple. They look as if they don't know, hey, this is my man. We're shifting what we're doing. I need to be in a better spot. They look as if they're confused. They look as if they just don't know that based on these looks and these coverages, man, we definitely need to not allow for Nembhard and for D'Lo to have wide open three-point shots. So it's really like quite frustrating, y'all, because even watching this game, like D'Lo, one of the things he does well is shoot the ball. So why are we giving him wide open attempts from the three-point line? Now, they're lucky because in the second quarter, 8:25 left, D'Lo comes off of like I don't even know what this is. D'Lo's being covered in this instance by Bruce Brown, who was sick. I want to mind you, he was sick in this game. He then sinks into the paint. Nembhard gets a screen. He brags with Anthony Davis, all the Nuggets defenders into the paint. Now, Bruce, who's originally on D'Lo, gets stuck in no man's land. And the next thing you know, D'Lo has a wide open three-pointer, and THJ shows on him and he can't leave him because he has Klay Thompson in the corner, and it's just like basic communication breakdowns. Like, what's happening? And then another play. Ryan Nembhard tries to drive by Spencer Jones. Val over helps. Spencer was there. Val helps. He sinks. So Bruce then cheats off of D'Lo to Anthony Davis from the three-point line. Again, D'Lo misses the three. Just really basic stuff. And then again, another defensive possession. Now, Bruce Brown is on Nembhard. He does a great job denying the screen from Anthony Davis. He gets around the screen with Nembhard. Cam Johnson is guarding D'Lo. Cam, on the screen action, after Bruce makes him turn around, he then overhelps, doesn't communicate the switch that he's going to help guard Ryan Nembhard. D'Lo then sneaks out to the left wing, wide open three-pointer, bucket. And what I'm saying to you is, if you look at the individual defensive possessions for this game, it is constant breakdowns of communication and defensive principles. And it is a lot of Cam, Bruce, Jamal, THA, were the guards and the wings. They seem to be overhelping and overcompensating. Now, let me say this. Am I worried long-term for the Nuggets? No. Because for whatever reason, when December hits, they tend to do this. They did this in 2022-23 when they were the 29th ranked defense in the league through December, basically, or early December. They had a 3-game losing streak in 2023 in which they just absolutely did not play winning basketball. In the 2022-23 season, they lost 3 straight games to the Atlanta Hawks, 117 allowed, to the New Orleans Pelicans, 121 allowed, and then to the Dallas Mavericks, 116 allowed. Then they allowed 120 to Portland, which they won that game. They allowed 110 to Utah. They won that game. They allowed 128 to Washington. But then what happened was it was the Memphis game where they played Memphis. They're battling for the number 1 overall seed. They beat them 105-91. And from that point on, for basically a large stretch of the year, their defense went bananas. And they played really good basketball. They locked in. So I do expect that there will be a turning point, and it might be when everybody gets healthy, that when they finally get Christian Braun and Aaron Gordon back around the January 4th, 7th, 9th area, where they're going to start running through teams again. But what I want to happen is that they need to be able to have good, open communication, whether it's man-to-man, whether it's zone defense, whether it's transition. They have to have, starting from Jokic Murray, and Cam Johnson. They have to have better defensive communication if this team is going to survive. It's that simple. Better communication leads to better defense. Better defense, better effort. You make it easier for yourself on the offensive end as well. On the other side, we're going to talk about if Nikola Jokic has to carry more, if Jamal is out, which hopefully he isn't, what is that going to look like and what happens with this team? We're going to talk about all that and more at the final segment here at Locked On Nuggets. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. The holiday season is one of the best times for sports. Bowl games, big basketball matchups, playoff pushes, it's all happening at once. And while we're all making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make the right call is PrizePicks. Now, PrizePicks is the easiest way to get in on daily fantasy. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections. Lock in your lineup, and you're in the game. It's simple, fast, and available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Now, PrizePicks has added an extra layer of excitement for the holiday sports schedule. You can create a lineup that takes less than a minute, and the app makes the whole process smooth and intuitive. And the new Stacks feature, it lets you choose the same player up to 3 times in one lineup, like more on a QB's passing yards, touchdowns, and rushing yards. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. We'll be back for the final segment here at Locked On Nuggets. We are back for the final segment here at Locked On Nuggets. Shout out to you. I hope you're having a great, fabulous, wonderful, stupendous day. We're just talking about the Denver Nuggets defense, and I think in the first 20 minutes, you got a gist of the idea. The Nuggets, when they show effort, really good defense. The Nuggets, when they don't show effort, really bad defense. The Nuggets, when they don't show effort, you lose to the Bulls. You lose to the Kings. You lose to the Spurs without Wemby. You lose to the worst offense in the NBA in the Dallas Mavericks. That is where the marker is. You show effort, you win. You don't show effort, you lose. That's the way the Denver roster is structured defensively. But, y'all, Nikola Jokic is having an insane year this year. He lost, I think, all of his juice to close the game yesterday. He just looked exhausted. The team was just in a rut. He had a 20-point fourth quarter versus the Sacramento Kings just the other day, had a 15-point fourth quarter in another game, and yesterday he just didn't have it. It wasn't great. But Jokic on the year now, you know, he's sitting at 29 points, 13 rebounds, and 11 assists. He's leading the NBA in rebounds, leading the NBA assists, and one of the best scorers in the NBA, if not the best this year. 62% from the field, 44% from 3, and 85% from the line, 73 true shooting. He's having an insane year, almost a 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. But the question now becomes, if Jamal Murray misses times where it doesn't seem to be that he'll miss anything significant, what do the Denver Nuggets do? How do they respond? Because this month, Nikola Jokic is averaging 32 points, or in the month of November, he averaged 32 points a game, 12 rebounds, 11 assists on 65, 52, 85 splits. And he was a plus 139 in the month. Now, after yesterday, in December, he had 29 points, 20 rebounds, and 13 assists. Last night, yesterday he had 29 points, 20 rebounds, and 13 assists. And they were winning the minutes with Jokic up until the very end of the game yesterday. So the question becomes, who has to step up for the Nuggets if Jamal Murray is down? And the first clear and best answer has to be Cam Johnson. It has to be Cam Johnson. Now, Cam has played well over the last 8 games. Yesterday was not Cam Johnson's best game, but over the last 2 weeks, he's been playing well, and he's been a player that's been helping them win a lot of these games. Last 8 games, 17 points a game, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 55% from the field, 55% from 3, and 86% from the free throw line. Yesterday, he was only 1 of 6 from 3. That was his worst three-point shooting game in a while. But Cam Johnson has really started to figure things out with his team. And if Jamal is going to be down, it's going to be a lot of this on Cam, that he has to be able to convert a lot of these looks. The ball handling responsibility is going to have to go to Cam. Just some of the synergistic stuff with Jokic is going to have to go to Cam. But also, Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to have a lot to say here. Spencer Jones was having a much, much better season than anything I would have thought he'd be able to do. It's not because he's a bad player at all. It's just simply because he's a two-way player. You don't expect a two-way player to be that good, but he's been phenomenal to start this year off defensively. And yesterday, a career high, 28 points. Just 2 days ago versus the Suns, a career high, 16 points. He's a good rebounder. He fights really hard. But here's the thing that the Nuggets really need. There's plenty that they need. And one of the things is defense. Cam Johnson, Peyton Watson, Spencer Jones, Bruce Brown. One of the things you got to do is lock in defensively. There needs to be a shift in the atmosphere in how this team is approaching games defensively. They play versus the Indiana Pacers in Indiana. They play versus the Atlanta Hawks in Atlanta. They play versus the Charlotte Hornets in Charlotte. They then play versus the Sacramento Kings. They're flying over a 4-day period, basically. They're flying from Charlotte, probably back to Denver, and then to Sacramento. And then they got 4 straight home games. So they got 4 straight road games and then 4 straight home games. This stretch of basketball is important. They play Indiana, Atlanta, Charlotte, Sacramento, Houston, Orlando, Houston, Utah. They got Houston twice at home and Orlando once at home. And then they play Dallas over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. The Nuggets need to flip the script on what it is they're doing defensively. Now, the Pacers, they've been much better as of late. Their offense has been communicating, but they're just 4-17, and the Nuggets, you already beat them. You've already handled business versus the Pacers, 117-100. At the time, that was the least amount of points the Pacers had scored the entire season. They need to bring back that defensive energy. They need to respond with playing better defense versus this Pacers team. Then they play versus the Atlanta Hawks. Jalen Johnson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dyson Daniels. They've been a good team since Trae Young has gone down. They need to be ready. They have to be ready to step in and do their job. It is really this simple, you all. They are going to be an elite team. They are an elite team. They will play better. But the thing that I'm trying to communicate, that stress to the Nuggets, that some of them watch this show, some people in the front office watch this show, some people in the front office watch my individual shows. I get it. I think the Nuggets are going to win the title this year. I'm hoping, and at least they're going to run into OKC, and there's going to be a war. Probably, hopefully, in the conference championship. And then if the Nuggets are healthy, OKC's healthy, the Nuggets have a fighting chance. But here's the difference is, on the path to doing that, you're going to have stretches of really high-level basketball, and you're going to have stretches of not-so-great basketball. In the last 8 games, not-so-great basketball. A lack of communication. Just a lack of care and effort. And coaches, they know that in order for this team to thrive, they just have to be good defensively. They're going to be the best offense. So you just need to be good defensively, which means communication. And they started that in the first quarter. They were up 21-4. And Spencer Jones talked about this yesterday, that after the game, he said, we just get up so much. It's almost like they relax. They get up. By the way, in 18 of the 19 games, or in the 19 of the 20 games they played this year, they have been up 12 or more in 19 of the games. That means they have lost the lead in the games that they have lost. They've lost 5 of those leads that have led to L's. 5 of them. Now that's still really good. It's not like it's crazy. The Nuggets are 16 or 14-6, y'all. That's a 70% win percentage. So if the Nuggets win 70% of their games this year, they're currently on pace to win 57 games. Now, they start stacking these games again, you're on pace to win 60 again. So, it's on the table for them that you're going to be a really, really good basketball team. But it's just basic communication, basic principles, being able to cover your man, that if you have to be here on the floor, court mapping it well, if you got a hot shooter in Ryan Nembhard and Devin Vassell, you're not leaving them wide open in the corner or at the wings. Basic stuff. Jokic, if you're playing drop, you got to be sound between the man and the basket. You got to be sound with your feet, with your eyes, and with your hands. And he's done that a lot this year. And again, I'm not asking for the Nuggets to have the kind of defensive intensity they had versus the Houston Rockets just 2 Fridays ago every game. You don't have to play that well every game. But what you do need to do is you got to play better than what you've been doing. You got to communicate more than what you've been doing. You got to play harder than what you've been doing. Peyton Watson, Spencer Jones, Cam Johnson, Bruce Brown. All of you are good defenders to really good defenders. You absolutely need to make it your mission that over the next stretch of 9 games, you turn the tide. You turn the tide. It's that simple. And I believe that they will. I believe David Adelman and Jared Dudley, that they'll get it done correctly and that they'll make sure to make the adjustment. But the Nuggets, they are much better than what they've been showing, and the reason they're 4-4 in the last 8 is because their defense hasn't been there. So, y'all, this is Swiper. This is Locked On Nuggets. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. If you're listening to this on the audio platforms of Spotify and Apple iTunes, give it a 5-star review. That way more and more people can listen to the great content being made here at Locked On Nuggets. This is Swiper with my brother Matt Moore, Ryan Blackburn. Y'all are the best fans in the world. See you on the other side.